Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 229 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. That's right. For everyone I told we were going live at 8, just kidding. We're going live at 7:16 p.m.
Gotcha!
Gotcha, guys.
We're like Delta Airlines. Woo!
We do. Whoa, that music ended abruptly, didn't it?
I pulled the plug on that amp.
Yeah, I wonder what happened there.
Yeah.
We got in trouble, maybe? I don't know. All right. Let's remove that from the old studio. We got performance art. Let's go Raptors.
Yeah.
Is that in reference to Mike's Pistons jersey he's wearing there?
Maybe? Well, the Raptors are in the playoffs, and they're playing a little Philadelphia. Oh, yeah.
A little
performance art. Raptors going to get a little healthy here, or are they just going to get swept? Because it doesn't look good.
I don't know. We'll hear from performance art later on everybody's favorite topic.
What's up, Chewy?
Chewy, what's going on? No complaints. Mike, there you go. Oh, he's talking about Sabatka. I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll get to Sabatka later. We did a poll online to see if we were actually going to talk about Sabatka in today's episode. We'll reveal those results later on. So that may be the extent of our conversation. Curtis thrown out there. He does not like my ampersands. Red Wings win and threw in their lottery. Made me think something more exciting happened. That's how we get you. It's clever.
You thought maybe you thought this was us announcing our lottery winnings, and this was the final episode of Red Wings Rant.
Speaking of Mike, clickbait. Earlier this week,
that's what they call me, Mike Clickbait Clink.
Earlier this week, there was some clickbait released by a Red Wings blog, Mike, that questioned if our captain is to blame for our struggles. That's right. It was sort of a rundown of the news here. So we'll do this. Dylan Larkin was asked if his leadership abilities should come into question because his press conference after we got beat on Sunday referenced how the kids can't pretend this is minor league hockey and they don't get candy for doing a good job. No, that's not verbatim. It's somewhere along those lines. I thought that was hilarious, but clearly Larkin is frustrated. Clearly he knew what we're about to talk about in a second here, that his season was wrapping up. And this is my not so smooth transition by going from us kind of talking about clickbait on our thumbnail, and now we're going to talk about some clickbaity article where they were asking if Larkin should lose his captaincy. Clearly not. Clearly Larkin is our MVP, but Mike, we're going to be without the MVP. There we go. I finally came to the point. Without our MVP for the rest of the year.
Can I throw the whole quote out there?
Oh, you have it?
Yeah, it's not the most cohesive English, but he says someone can't push you out the door like it's minors hockey and give you candy after the game. You have to take pride in this. I feel like if you have, man, at first glance, if you have complaints with what he said, you're probably listening to the wrong podcast.
That's true. Yeah,
I think needs to be said. I have zero issues with any of that phrasing.
Yeah, I mean, Larkin's a high effort guy, and there's a lot of skill. You get those MVP for the Red Wings numbers. He passes the advanced analytics, the eyeball test. He passes everything. So you get those votes that I'm sure when the Red Wings announce their MVP for the season, which I don't know how official that really is, but when they do, it'll be Dylan. And there's a reason for that, because he leads by example. And I like to think now this is a great example of him leading by his words. I don't want to get too deep into this because this is old news now, and we should have talked about it on Sunday, but I didn't listen to the press conference. But I was proud of him. I love those. I love that statement. I think if anything, you could say it rang true. And despite Steve Yzerman doing his part for the tank, and shutting down Larkin for the rest of the season and teasing that Nedeljkovic might be done too. Yeah, the Red Wings went ahead and ruined that and beat the Tampa Bay Lightning, Mike, in a hell of a game, winning 4-3.
Stunning.
Yeah. I mean, to say I was floored by this, especially at one point having it be 3-1. It's it felt good. But then you start to, then as we'll get into this episode, we'll get deeper into this conversation. You take a look at the standings. It doesn't feel quite as good anymore when you see that we were making some ground on Buffalo, making some ground on Ottawa. Ground be gone. But anyway, I'm sure a lot of people aren't going to share the same sentiments that I'm going to put out there. But yeah, it was a fun game to watch. The first period, I think we lucked out coming out of that, nothing. And then the second period, we just kind of seemed to, as Jeff has let us know, you can't do as a hockey team, Mike. The Red Wings just flipped the switch and turned it on and threw 3 goals in the back of the net. Sonny scored again. Should point out, too, that second period was such a flip of the switch. We got Prashanth telling us that 20-second difference between goals, and we're talking Tampa's goal to Sonny's goal, was the fastest turnaround the Red Wings have had all year, completely shutting down Tampa's momentum and turning quite a bit on themselves. So for a game where I joked before it even started, I was in no rush to get my kids to bed because I figured I don't want to rush, make my kids angry and go watch this blowout. No, I was wrong. We shut them down. And it was something, Mike, I think we've grown accustomed to in the third period. The letdown, right?
Yeah.
Losing big leads, losing small leads, losing any lead in the third period. But we shut them down. Greiss did a great job shutting them down. I thought Vrana's goal for us to get the win on it, that 4-3 goal, was just so out of character for the Red Wings for what they've become these last 3 to 4 seasons. I just would have never guessed. I would have figured 3-3. Here comes Tampa Bay for the next goal. But no, you've got that lightning in a bottle. You've got that elite goal scoring from Vrana. And you take the lead, walk away with a win. We do have highlights we want to talk about, but we also have a bunch of comments to take a look at.
Oh, yeah. You want to throw those in there real quick?
Yeah. Let's jump back. Performance art thrown out there. I don't normally agree with Darren McCarty, but his response to Twitter hating on Larkin was hilarious. Which, Mike, I think I shared it with you, actually. So it might be quicker for me to...
Oh, is it a direct comment to Prashanth?
Yeah, because I don't think he quite understood what Prashanth was doing. What does he say?
That's pretty on brand for McCarty.
Shit out of your mouth for being stupid. But it was pretty much Prashanth making a joke because he brought up the advanced analytics there to show every player on the team. It might have been a WAR measurement. I can't remember actually off the top of my head what he was measuring, but it was like far and away. Larkin was the most productive player on the team. And so Prashanth said, I need to find a scapegoat for this crappy season. So he pulls up this bar chart, shows Larkin doubling up the second best player on the team and says, there he is. So Darren McCarty came in and said, I'll slap the shit out of your mouth for being stupid. And I think then Prashanth is what I shared with you. Had to explain.
Yeah, McCarty not one to pick up on subtlety.
It was. If you guys go back and watch our episode with Darren McCarty, you can kind of see we had those same struggles with Darren.
If you've ever gotten face to face with the exhaust pipe of a Harley Davidson and tried to have a debate with it, that's a lot like what the experience of talking to McCarty is. So it's just kind of a lose-lose for you and the exhaust. That's madness. I don't know why. You just don't watch the games if you think that Larkin is to blame. I mean, he's the heart and soul of this team. Matt, there's nothing new to be said about that. Like what an integral part he is. The only new thing to say about that is that we won without him, and now it's all about Vrana.
Yeah, I like Silver 3344s here. I
So,
love
are you
this.
reading the show notes? That's literally our next topic, sir.
Well, no, his line here is wonderful.
Believe.
I Vrana believe. Now that is let's dissect this, Mike. Yeah. If we made a T-shirt that said "I Vrana believe," clearly Silver gets some money back for it. But does this call into question you believing that Vrana is an elite goal scorer? Because it's kind of like I Vrana believe, but you know what? Like that was my second thought. First, Silver, I absolutely.
I think
fell in love
it's
with
more
this
about like the Red Wings have been in the doldrums for so long, and there's one man, one lighthouse in the darkness that's going to lead us safely to shore into the playoffs again. And I Vrana believe it's Jakub who's going to bring us there, man. One phrase, one symbol, one push to the playoffs.
Yeah, performance art. I made a bet that Vrana would end up with 15 goals. I could be right. Big money.
Well, you got it for what is it? Was it quickest to 20 as a Red Wing?
Me?
Yeah. Did you have that queued up?
Oh, I thought you were saying that I bet on it.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, we've got that. Sorry, no, that went right over my head. This is 20 goals in 32 games total with the franchise. So this is the fewest games to 20 goals for all time. Vrana hits that mark. 32 games again. Well, I guess we should say tying Danny Grant. Paul McLean, 33. Steve Yzerman, 34. Frank Malhalvlich, 37. That's right. Classic Frank there, whipping those pucks in the back of the net. We love our Frank Malhalvich.
Stat boy Frank, that's what we call him.
But Mike, I think let's answer that question, Mike. Elite goal scorer here, Vrana?
Elite goal scorer. We've seen a whole bunch of scoring styles on the Red Wings, right? We've seen goofs like Holmstrom, where you could shoot pucks off of his head and he would get credit for them. We've seen Brett Hall's kind of come in with the big slapper, but I feel like you got to look really hard to find somebody with that kind of wrist shot like Vrana, because it's just lightning. No pun intended here.
Planting the shot. So of course we're looking at the first Vrana goal. And
he's got the velocity on it. It seems like he hits it from any angle, but it's that release where it just feels like instantly from anywhere he can just, snap one off for a goal.
Snap one off. That used to be one of our old when we were kids. That was a fart. That's right.
I like snapping them off. Yeah.
I can't believe I just said that. All right. Chewy throwing out there laser accuracy. Absolutely. That's it, right? The pinpoint accuracy is like this thing that I feel like we've been sold on it a couple of times, Mike, over the years, that we had drafted that, or that it was coming up in the ranks for our prospects. But this is that first time I think we actually get to see it and experience it. And we've got one more replay here that's going to show off not just that shot. So we'll pull this up in a second here. Matt's hitting share screen. Let's see, Mike. Make sure to call me out when I
don't see it yet.
Forget to do
there
it.
It
and
is.
Start talking about it. All right. So this one's amazing because this is going to be Vrana a little bit here. I think this is the one that has the full replay. But this is what you want to see. Like this is where it's just too beautiful. Because what you want to watch here are Vrana's eyes, because I think if we pulled up the advanced analytics for Vrana, I think we might actually even have that. No, I don't have it right. We could look at his Rap'em chart, which is going to show compared to the rest of the league. We've shown these charts before. If you guys are listening to the podcast, basically for you to visualize it, you have these blue bars that say that you're in the top half of the league, and red bars, and the more deep red they get, you're in the bottom half of the league, closer to the bottom of the league. And it's going to measure your goals for, your expected goals for, Corsi, and expected goals against. And everything that is Corsi against, expected goals against, is deep red for Vrana.
Yeah.
Very deep red.
Yeah.
But this is something here where if we're trying to figure out if there's some hope, right? I mean, and we're talking about seasons of data, multiple seasons. So we're not saying like we've seen once or twice that Vrana has had some miscues. What we're talking about is like multiple seasons, collections of data that show that Vrana, when he's on the ice, it's more likely that the team's going to get a shot on net. But here we go with, I don't know, maybe we should introduce this as the game after Larkin ripped his teammates to shreds. Who knows? Mike, maybe after Larkin's leadership was called into question, maybe we should start pointing that out.
Maybe somebody offered them that bag of candy and they said, not today.
Vrana was going to get, he was told, if you steal the puck, you're getting a candy after the game. But if we should probably play this in real time so that you can watch Vrana. Like, it's Vrana on the break. Like, of course, it's going to be a goal. But if my man starts doing these Datsukian steals like this, I mean, look at how he's reading this. Like, it's like he recognized what was going down with this play. Like, he could not get away, and that might be could not get away from him faster to go get Sergachev and make this play. Because he knew that this was going to be his opportunity to go down and put one in the back of the net. Just good eyes. And again, since we can look at Vrana, look at years of analytics and say, okay, if there's a part of his game that needs to improve, it's the defensive side. But we can watch this play and be like, well, I mean, two things, right? We know he has a great shot, so we're okay with some of the defensive lapses. But here's where Vrana makes his defensive game choices work.
Yeah, I definitely on the coattails of that analysis, Matt, because, you know, as a fan, it's really fun to watch an exciting goal like that. You know, watching a highly skilled guy get to bust out that power wrist move. But for the hockey nerds, and I imagine the people on this audience count themselves in that bucket. It's very encouraging, like you said, to see him generate a break because he did something defensively, to get to that point where he could make that offensive burst and eventually score and cash in on that defensive awareness. So yeah, I know, Matt, this game, it stinks for our ultimate goal to improve our ping pong odds, our lottery odds, but man, it just feels good, to feel like, man, maybe this Vrana guy is really, really gonna come around next season. Not only score, but man, if he can start stacking up more plays like this, like you said with the deep cut stuff that I like to refer to, maybe not have it red, maybe make it pink, maybe like a light pink. I'm not saying he's got to be, Datsuk defensively, but at least not be, a canyon of ineptitude. So plays like this at least looks like it's starting to get us on the good side a little bit. But did we have any other comments come in too?
Sorry. There's a ton of comments. I'll actually pull this up so everybody can see it too. But this is the chart we're talking about. This is where we're measuring goals for per 60, expected goals for per 60, Corsi, both sides. Yeah, right. Could be better is definitely an understatement there. But that's it, right? Like if that's the trade-off, right? I think are we willing to go for that? Vrana's going to go for that type of steal and run it in for a goal every now and then. I'm pretty okay with that. Ace fishing. Sorry, my man. We did go super early. Just our schedule's lined up. Usually 8 o'clock's better. I do apologize. Antonio throwing out there. Great game to win. I would argue that, Antonio, till my dying breath, until we end up with what right now it looks like pick 11. But I do agree. It was fun to at least watch a win. Silver thrown out there. Zadina is more physical in this game than I've seen him all year. He plays with way more confidence next to Vrana. Now, I saw this last night too, and it was stated by one of our buddies on social media, Devin Little, who's been featured on our show before. And I I heard that, and I guess from the perspective of like what we've been talking about all year, I was under the impression that we were all in agreement that the effort from Zadina was there. It just seemed like the shots were off, and he also wasn't playing with a guy who could finish. So I playing more physical, definitely. The confidence I feel like has increased significantly. I also want to throw out there. I feel like Zadina's had an okay game that he's been throwing out, and I brought up Zadina's Rap'em chart to kind of illustrate his expected goals for per 60, his Corsi for per 60. Of course, he's on the top of the Red Wings numbers for the entire season. I would just say this might be everything we've been asking for all season, right? Like, how long have we been asking? Like, I mean, we came up with our list of like things we want to see before the season ends, and that was like a couple weeks ago. And I think even our thumbnail for that episode was Zadina and Vrana holding each other, hugging after a goal. Holding. No, they weren't hugging. They were holding each other. Holding each other after a goal. And I don't know, this just kind of feels like we all knew it was coming, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely dudes who will have chemistry with each other. I just I wish I can't wait to have a larger sample size because I feel like we keep getting cheated, whether we're getting Vrana at the end of a season or Vrana's injured, so again we're getting him at the end of a season. But hopefully, these guys can kind of wrap up this season playing together. Get some time in the off season, hang out, keep again adding that chemistry, do something in the preseason, and maybe both be healthy next year. And then for Zadina's sake, hopefully can get some goals here, especially since he's not that far removed from having to be part of negotiations. So I agree. Zadina it was Silver, yeah,
yep.
Yeah. Zadina has looked more physical, more confident. Just hope he can, for his own sake, also start being a little more, productive. We know what a young man he is, and people can kind of, come at their own pace and arrive at their own pace, and hopefully it can be sooner. So this guy can start making some money, and the Red Wings can start winning some games with him.
Yeah, I think Ace is right there with you. He's not fully sold on Zadina. I want to see him score more without being attached to the hip of Vrana, which is a great point. I think it's still worth the question. Like, could Zadina produce more with a guy like Vrana on his line? And clearly, Vrana made a play where he didn't need anybody on his line. He just went ahead and stole the puck and throws it in the back of the net. And most often, that's what you're going to see. But I think we need to see some prolonged production from Zadina, but I think it's at least fair to say, okay, we see the production after a couple of games of these guys playing together. We see some production, and we saw some production last year. And again, I think our show, we've hung pretty hard on the fact that Zadina really only assisted on 2 goals last year, but from an expected goals for perspective, they look good together. Like, they were putting more chances on the opponent than the opponent was putting back. So there was that when those guys were playing together. And that's something that, as we just showed with Vrana's numbers over the last 3 years of his career, and then with Zadina's numbers, that's been an issue. But when they play together defensively and offensively, they make out. They're more productive. But to the point of Zadina only assisting on a couple of points or a couple of goals on Vrana last year, and again, to the point of Vrana can just pretty much throw it in the back of the net whenever. We haven't necessarily fixed anything with Zadina. We just kind of like the eyeball test right now, I think. But yeah, from the actual stat, like, we're getting away from expected and we're playing the goals for a game. Yeah, this Rap'em chart is still pretty accurate.
You know what I'll say, Ace, and it's something that I need to think about a little bit more frequently too, is besides the obviously he's played better with Vrana. I would look pretty good with Vrana. There might be a puck that accidentally goes off me and I get an assist. But like Matt pulling the charts up there for the expected goals. If you saw that Yzerman was potentially eyeballing let's say a 22-year-old former first-round pick who went 6th overall, and he's got 60 points in 160 games. And he's got really good defensive numbers, and his expected goals are good. He just hasn't started scoring yet. You'd probably be pretty happy if Yzerman acquired this 22-year-old. But, I mean, those stats are Zadina. So I think that we might get frustrated because we're there for every single growing pain. And Yzerman's probably frustrated because he's going to end up paying this guy something, even though he hasn't quite shown the goals yet. But we still have so much time in this young man's career to, give him that room to develop. So it's definitely something I get impatient, as a fan and a viewer. But there's still so much promise. There's still a lot of good things. And, man, I would be shocked if he wasn't a Red Wing next season, Matt.
We've got to give a shout out to Dan, who's pointing out the obvious, and I can't believe we missed it, Mike. Red Wings beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. Of course. Better without Larkin confirmed. Thanks, Dan.
Larkin on the block, baby. Woo!
For anybody on the podcast, Dan threw a laugh emoji at the end there. And Ace threw out there too. He saw that coming. It's all in good fun. Ricky Mercer thrown out there. Veleno hung it out with the best of them on the first line. Proud of that guy. And he throws out there on his next comment. He's expected to be in Grand Rapids for another full season this year. And he's accomplished a lot for being with the team, playing a role and learning what the NHL is about. I think Veleno's shown enough to have those little sparks here and there that we know there's going to be some opportunity for him in the next couple of years. And that I have all the confidence in the world that whatever's going on with his future contracts after 2 years is what do I want to say? I think I don't think we have to worry about him being gone in a couple of years. I think we've seen enough that the opportunities are going to still come in. And I think he's got a role that can definitely develop in the bottom 6 regardless. But yeah, I do think that it would be pretty accurate right now to state that if we were still looking at Veleno as like that is your top 6 center to get this team moving forward. I don't know. I feel like that ship has sailed, but I mean, Veleno has enough skill and ability to make things work in that bottom 6. And if we pulled up his Rap'em chart, I don't know how thrilled everybody's going to be who is a huge Veleno fan, because it's not pretty, but we do have some excuses we can toss in there. So here's what it looks like. This is kind of the opposite of your Zadina chart. This is deep red for the podcast listeners for expected goals for and Corsi for per 60, but those defensive numbers are looking pretty good. So when I say we've got some excuses to throw in there, Mike, he's been on the bottom 6 like most of the season. So his time on ice starts in the defensive zone most of the time. So that's your game you're playing right there. And if you want to play this is expected goals for per 60, that's where you say, well, he starts in the defensive zone. So he's starting at a deficit. If anything, those opportunities for him to put more pucks on net are already working against him. One of the things that I think works against expected goals for per 60 is one of the deficiencies in it. When you have a role to play on the team that is primarily starting in the defensive zone, it really has no way to account for that. So always something to keep in mind there, ladies and gentlemen, when you're looking at your expected goals for per 60s. But yeah, like it doesn't look beautiful. I mean, I do like that red color, so the red's nice, but it doesn't look beautiful here. But
yeah, I mean, for the role that they're asking him to do,
exactly,
he's accomplishing that. We're asking you to play defense. No, you're not scoring a lot of goals. We would like you to. We're not going to be mad if you do, but we're not asking you to. So you can't give up. It's too early. You can't be too excited about what it looks like offensively. But this season is just a big reminder of how important it is to eat your vegetables and meal prep and it might be boring, and it might not have white ranch like the new fry meal at Taco Bell, but you know what? It's nutrition, and it'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah, and I think ultimately too what I mentioned before with him looking pretty good, pretty solid is getting a role in the bottom six moving forward. So I think I was trying to make reference to the fact that he's got his contract this year and contract next year, and I think he'll be a very affordable option moving forward. So that's kind of where you want to hang your hat for the future of Joe Veleno. Derek Haynes here. What's going on, Derek? I do like this point only because I kind of like where the conversation went with it. How many line combos did Joe get this year? It's not easy for a young guy to make an impact when chemistry is in constant flux. That is a good point. But Ace does point out too that everyone except for Larkin and Raymond have kind of floated through the lineup. So I think what I want to land on there with Curtis, that is a great point. Like for a guy like Joe Veleno, you don't want that to be the situation. But I also kind of don't like that, like as I'm going to use the word, so excuse me, but as an excuse for some of these guys, because I think it is part of hockey to ask them to kind of work things out throughout the lineup and make things work when things have to change. So I don't know. I don't want to hang my hat on that yet to say, like, if we're going to look at his development and just say, well, he hasn't played with the same guy, because we're also asking that Zadina does play with Vrana. And then on the same side, we're also going like, well, we also want to make sure Zadina can have success without just latching himself onto Vrana assists. So I just want to make sure that, we kind of look at this and we're not talking out of both sides of our mouth for certain guys. And then for other guys, we want to make sure that they have a set path. And some guys, do need to mix it up, and they need to show that they can be successful when it is mixed up like that. But I mean, I would just say, I think it's a good point, Curtis, but I also, I don't know. I feel like we come up with that excuse a lot for some of our young guys, and I like to think that they can get past that. I like to think that, especially with a guy who would want to be called up from Grand Rapids to Detroit, that he couldn't just say, well, I'm not going to score. I'm used to these guys in Grand Rapids. So that's kind of where I get frustrated with that. And I get, it's maybe not frustrated with you bringing it up, Curtis, but I get frustrated with it being like a regular argument for somebody's development being stunted, because I think it's an okay ask for these professional athletes. Or I shouldn't say it like that. That sounds like I'm demeaning it, but I think it's okay to ask these guys, like, you've got to be flexible. You've got to be able to mix this up and find your game.
Yeah. Do I think that, maybe it would be easier for him to score if he was playing with guys that he, was comfortable with, and he kind of knew their habits, and he kind of knew where they wanted to be on the ice, and he knew how to get the puck to those guys when they're in their spots? Yeah, probably would be easier. He probably would have more points. But I just don't think he's, and it's almost no fault of his own. It's just that, like, with the role that we need you to do, like right now, your skill is not developed enough yet for you to be, necessarily, getting 20 minutes a game playing with our top scoring line, because you're just not there yet. So I want to get you an NHL job, and the way I can get you an NHL job is we can lean on how good you are defensively. With that territory, you're going to be in and out of the lineup with guys who, are also still kind of more of in a developmental phase. So, man, I think I kind of agree with you there that it comes with the territory. I could get you an NHL job, but because we're asking you to do something else, you're going to have to kind of take the initiative there, right? I can't just guarantee that I'm going to have the same lineups for you. So it is going to be tough, right? I'm sure Veleno didn't ask for that. It would be a lot easier if he had the same line mates to get used to their spots, but maybe another year or two of development, then he can start to get a line together and start moving up and earning more minutes, but not yet.
What? Yeah, Curtis called himself out here. He's like, that's it. I'm being banned for life. Absolutely, Curtis. I'm sorry. If you could sign off, that'd be great. I'm just kidding. Curtis, I love you, man.
Because he's got the best thumbnail in the business.
Exactly. Look at that suit. You snappy.
Okay, looks fucking
so-and-so.
sharp. Dude.
I know.
Good.
No, we can't, Curtis. You can't go because you add class to this. You
Yeah.
add class and sophistication.
Most of us
to
are
the
in
show.
sweatshirts and pajamas. You're the only one dressed up for the event. But yeah, we got to move on to
Some
another
good
one of our
news.
prospects here. Yeah, good
Right.
news.
William Wallinder named Sweden's Junior Player of the Year. I like this is just a cute little quote. William is a highly talented defender, a good skater who likes to join in the offensive game. Quote made by who knows? Maybe just from that article, swedishhockey.se. But I just thought that Ice Hockey Gifts posted that, and when I saw that earlier today, I was like, all right, whoever that was. Worth mentioning, other how do I want to say this? Sweden's Junior Player of the Year. Other winners of the Junior Player of the Year in the in Sweden: Rasmus Dahlin. Some of you would probably laugh at that. I think that's worth mentioning. Victor Hedman and Gronwall. So I think this is something we could be pretty psyched about for Wallinder. And this is something too that was pointed out online. A before and after December 9th, 2021. This is kind of like before and after Wallinder getting snubbed for the World Tourney. So he gets snubbed for the World Tourney and gets more ice time because of it. And he goes from before December 29th, his 21 games played, just under 12 minutes of ice time, to after December 9th. These are 35 games played, 19 minutes a night. And at the junior level, you're right there fighting for that top spot. And you got to see, too, on this chart, if you guys are not watching, if you guys are listening to the podcast, geez, that was so hard to get out of my mouth. You can kind of see that at the end of this chart, for everyone that is watching, you can see it. He's hitting that top pair numbers, right? Like he's jumping over those 20 minutes a night a couple of times. So this is something for Wallinder. My man took that opportunity where he doesn't go to the World Tourneys, and he goes, all right, well, I'm just going to start showing my stuff. And he knocks it out of the park. And this is something where we're all excited to see Edmondson. I think we were all kind of, I don't know. You wanted to see Wallinder like kind of take more steps the year before, but this is definitely that step that we wanted to see last year. I think we're really happy to see it now, and he's getting recognized. I guess across Sweden is what we could say. But playing for Rogel, just like Moritz Seider was a year ago. And he's a guy, Mike, you just said it with Joe Veleno. He struggled to get his minutes before. They gave him the opportunity, and they could only keep increasing his minutes because of what he was able to do when they put him on the ice. So this is a guy that, not to say that Joe Veleno doesn't do that, because we also spent part of that conversation talking about what a great job he does defensively. So we're not running Joe Veleno into the ground. But just to continue the point of Wallinder getting that spot, and we have another guy, I think, to Joe Veleno's credit, to Yzerman's ability to kind of see the type of humans he's drafting, we have another guy that's going to take advantage of those opportunities and just absolutely destroy with them.
I'm not going to be upset that Wallinder won. That's pretty cool. I did want to share a few more fun names from this list, though, Matt.
Yeah.
One that makes you feel good. There's Victor Hedman, which we're familiar with his work in Tampa Bay. A couple guys won back-to-back years: Nicholas Backstrom and Alexander Steen. Matt, in 1999, Daniel Sedin won the award. In 2000, Henrik Sedin won the award. And Matt, probably the scariest one in the list. Hope you're buckled in. Former Detroit Red Wing, Anders Eriksson.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So hopefully it turns out a little more like Cronwall and a little less like Eriksson, but just be buckled in. The winners are kind of all over the map. Really, there's some really excellent players who won, but just a couple that make you kind of just double check that list and wonder what the criteria was. But, I'm happy for William for sure.
Yeah. All good news. I think that definitely was worth bringing up, and we could kind of cap this off too. for Rogel. He's going to end up with 19 points in 47 games. Not 100% sure if he's still rolling through the playoffs right now, but I'll thumbs up for Wallinder. Mike, also, I didn't mean to hit next, but more SHL news. The Frölunda Indians, no more!
Hey!
The logo and the mascot that made no sense is no more, especially considering, they're from Sweden, so it just made no sense that they would have a team called the Indians. I mean, clearly the end of those logos are here, and we're happy about that. But it just made even less sense for Sweden to have a team called the.
So now the logo is the white keys of a piano and half of Van Halen.
Yeah, that was the first thing I saw was Van Halen on that one. Now I gotta look this up because I want to see, do we have Frölunda Hockey Club? And then it says, I'm gonna say Göteborg.
I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I liked how you pronounced it.
I took some liberties there. I kind of went. Nobody hate me for saying this. I went Swedish Chef on that one.
Oh no!
that was my influence. I'm just trying to figure out, do we have a new animal or something? Is there? It's just, we're just celebrating Van Halen now. I don't mind it. I love Van Halen.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe it's like a deer. Kind of looks like a deer, doesn't it?
I wouldn't have guessed deer.
No.
Maybe not outright. Maybe like a little fox or something, like a little fox face.
Yeah, I like that. Fox is pretty cute.
The Göteborg of Frölunda Foxes.
Ketzel thrown out there.
Hey, Ketzel, yeah, my man.
Half of a Van Halen.
Yeah.
Oh, we missed this. We have to back up a little bit. Wallinder is going to be paired with the Kaiser to really test his talent.
I think they're going to be testing his patience if that's what's going on.
Well, he's on the left side, so we won't have to worry about that. He'll be replacing the Kaiser. So
they'll find a way to have two left sides, man.
Oh, Ketzel, I like
Danny,
this is a really angry seagull. We did get a correction, by the way, on pronouncing William
Wallinder.
Yes. From Silver, thrown out there, William Wallinder.
Silver? I like that.
What else we got here?
Well, I know we had some tea we were going to spill.
Oh, that's right. We got to talk. We got to go back to our Twitter account because I did a vote. I wanted to see if we actually had to talk about this tonight. And it won. I said,
it won?
Honestly, I don't want to, but should we discuss PP in the workplace? And you had 36% of the vote, and Yum had 63% of the vote.
Wow.
So, Mike.
The people have spoken.
We're going to do it. We're going to talk about a good old Zamboni driver named Al Sabatka. I don't know how deep we can really go into this, Mike. Is pulling out your ding-dong at work allowed?
Well, Matt, the alleged infraction occurred on February 2nd when a fellow male employee found Sabatka urinating into a drain in the arena's Zamboni garage after cleaning the ice rink.
Doesn't matter that he was male. I talked about this.
I do feel better that it was male. It shouldn't matter, but I feel a little bit better.
I know what you're saying. I was talking about this earlier with our father. But I was like, I mean, who cares if it was a dude? Like, you don't whip out your ding dong at work. That's like the main rule. That's one of the main rules I like to think at any workplace, and they don't even have to write it.
Well, for the next episode on Sunday, we're going to have to talk about this issue one more time because we need your wife to weigh in, who is a wonderful physician. And allegedly, Sabatka has been diagnosed with a benign prostatic hypertrophy, which causes frequent and uncontrollable needs to go pee-pee.
It's so hard not to just start joking about that.
So apparently he was
Like-
peeing between two Zambonis, and he was seen by another boy.
So Al finishes up an ice resurfacing routine, right? Because the Zamboni's an ice resurfacer, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that didn't know that.
Can I add? Hold on. I want to add another detail. So Sabatka, according to his lawsuit, experienced an uncontrollable urge to go pee-pee.
Right.
The nearest pee-pee facility was 60 to 70 feet away. So instead of walking
Wait.
60 to 70 feet.
This is detailed in the legal proceedings, in the legal documents.
The lawsuit is out there. So instead of and thank you to Helene St. James, who is went through the lawsuit for us. The nearest facility is 60 to 70 feet away. Sabatka dropped his pants and pee-peed into his sewer because, I mean, it's all pipes anyway. The area is closed to the public. Access is limited to an all-male ice crew, which that part does not make me feel better. The first part did. This part does not.
Oh, good. Oh, it's all dudes. All right. I can whip out my ding dong. No, you can't do it. Some of the comments here. Ace says, "Why would a coworker tell? It's guy code."
Yeah, I'm waiting, Ace. I'm waiting for that testimony. Ace, you and I are on the same page, I think 2 or 3 times today. Why would the coworker guy code? Yeah, I mean, unless he was like whipping his ding dong around like an octopus, I don't know why we were. I don't know. Unless he was, getting rowdy with the boys and octopusing his ding dong around. I don't know why.
Come on.
Because I feel like, you work with the same people all the time. This guy's been working here for, 50 years or something. Nobody else knew that he had to go pee-pee all the time. So I wonder if we're going to learn this was like a weird, and I don't want to do hypotheticals. I don't know why he got caught once doing this. So either it's a bunch of times that somebody finally said, all right, I've seen enough of this guy wiggling his ding dong. I want him out. I don't know, but it just, as a one-off, do we think it's a little much for him to be removed from his job or no?
I think I'm going to stick with what I said first. You don't pull out your ding dong at work. It's you get fired for pulling out your ding dong at work, Mike.
I feel like while this is a boys' club, you can't do it at work, right?
Yes, you can't pull out. I'm sorry, guys. Guy code be damned. You don't pull out your ding dong at work. That's the long and short of it. That is the long and short of it, Mike.
Guys, we are learning Matt has never had a Planet Fitness membership because everybody pulls their ding dong out constantly.
I don't even know what to do with that. I don't know what that's in reference
My Planet Fitness guys, I know what I'm talking about. They've seen a few ding dongs in their life. Just, you just want to use the elliptical for 20 minutes.
And somebody's
there's an
naked?
octopus. Yeah, there's octopuses flailing all over the ice, Matt.
Now I have no idea what this is in reference to. I can't make the connection on the
It's
joke.
people using the locker room.
Oh. But that's a locker room.
Well, this is the Zamboni room. Who's looking between the two Zambonis?
It's not the Zamboni room. It's Little Caesars Arena. There's a huge difference. Come on. Well, my favorite thing that's happened so far in the comments was Ketzel said, "Yum one."
So, yeah, I guess we got to ask the people, right? I want to get the consensus of the listeners and the viewers. Do you guys think this was okay, or do you think that
I don't know.
You get caught once.
I'm sorry, listeners. There's a stance that the show is taken, and
if you have an absolute emergency and you just, oh my God, and you just like you're shaking and you're crying and you're like, I'm so sorry, I can't help it, and you're just screaming and peeing, is that a fireable offense?
I don't think that was the situation, to be honest.
I don't think that my obnoxious tale that had you pop out of the screen about him octopussing, I don't think he was doing that. I don't know, Matt. I kind of devil's advocate. If it was a one-off and he's got a medical
like
condition.
Fat Man says maybe 20 years ago you could take a quick pee. Hey, 20 years ago you could whip your dick down. You could at Joe Louis Arena there were pipes everywhere you could pee into.
Fat
was
Man
late on their delivery.
Yeah,
you got to clean those pipes. Yeah, of course, Fat Man. You can't do it nowadays. That's for sure. I
like Fat Man's comment because it feels like right afterwards it should have said, "That's a damn shame that you can't,
that you just can't whip out your ding
can't
dong
just
and
go
pee in
pee at
public."
work."
Yeah, I mean, just put yourself at your own place of work, Mike. Are you going to be able to stand in between cubicles and just start laying pipe? No.
If there was a drain there.
No. I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing? No. That's different because there were a bunch of guys there, so it's okay. Just start whipping out your ding dong.
So do we think if he's gonna throw the medical condition out there, the alternative is, I guess, he can't make it and he just pees his pants?
Yeah.
So you'd rather be next to the guy that smells like pee all day, or you had to kind of glance at his wiener for like a second?
Oh my gosh. I don't know how much more clear I can say it.
Have you smelled pee?
How is this really solving the problem? I'm going to pee on the floor. All right. Woo! I'm going to pee where everybody's going to walk. Mike, I can't make it any more clear, my opinion on this. You don't whip out your ding dong at work. We're moving on. How could you possibly... If he has this condition, what was he doing that kept him away from the potty? Come on.
He wasn't prepared. Like, he was really putting in a hard shift.
This sounds like the attorneys put this together and were like, oh, we could say you don't need, doctor approval to acknowledge you have this medical condition. Like, that's what that feels like to me. I don't want to sit here and play, well, what if I was about to pee my pants and my choices were pee my pants or whip out my ding dong at work?
That is not the question I asked. That's a different question. I asked, would you rather see your coworker's ding dong for a second or stand next to him while he smells like pee? Totally different scenario, man.
All right.
I'm not empathizing. Listen, I'm not empathizing with Sobotka. I'm empathizing with the guy who saw it. The dilemma that went through his head.
But isn't that the problem? It wasn't his choice. Sobotka was like, I'm going to whip out my ding dong. I don't care who's around. I guarantee he didn't take inventory and go, is it clear? All right. Woo. All
right. So this is the last question on this topic, man, because it's a serious one. I can't
believe we've had more than...
Did the Red Wings fire him because it's more politically... Thank you, Derek.
Yeah, Derek's on your side.
There's one.
Ace,
and he's got a cute little doggy. Yeah, thanks, Ace. I think that's 4 times. Do you think that the Red Wings fired him because it would look horrible if it got out that they let some aged, old, white employee have his penis in front of other employees? Which, when you phrase it like that, sounds really bad. Not a guy with a medical condition having an emergency urination, right? Or are we going to find out this is like, I mean, he's been there for 50 years, and they must know about this condition. Is it that it's just, you know what, we've had enough, we've given you stern warnings, and you still keep doing it, you're done? So do you think it's like a repeat thing where this is the last straw, or more of a PC move because it's 2022? One of our commenters said it, I think 3 comments ago. You can't.
I think, does it have to be PC to say that you fired someone because they whipped out their ding dong at work?
Yeah, but you're phrasing it like the prosecution. As the defendant, the defending attorney, I would say he had an emergency. Yeah, don't drink even more, Sobotka. Put that water away.
I'm thirsty.
Have a saltine. So a guy with a medical condition.
All right. I'm drinking 64 ounces of water to see if I can make it through this podcast in honor of Al Sobotka and not go pee.
So a guy with an older gentleman with a medical condition has an emergency urination situation. He's not going to make it 60 feet. So there's a hole. I'm going to pee in it.
I think he's got to go.
Do you think that he wins this lawsuit?
No.
Even with the medical condition? Would Saul Goodman win this case?
No.
For the defendant?
No.
Wow. Go ahead and ask me.
Ketzel says, bet you that water bottle isn't So the two guys that agreed with you, Mike, also said it's got to be a repeat thing. And Derek said it's got to be a repeat thing. In all seriousness, I doubt it was the first time.
This lifelong employee, I don't think it was a one-off crying, screaming emergency. And they just
there's your pick. You said do they win? I think this is it. I think it gets settled, and it's probably because he's got 1,000 years of service with the Detroit Red Wings. And they don't want this to just keep coming back out in the news. Like, I think that's in both of their best interests. That the last thing that
it'll settle quietly.
Is ding dong whipping out and peeing into pipes. Anybody else question what pipe he was peeing into? Because I don't know
if
about
it's the Zambonis, I imagine it's where the water gets drained out, right? When it melts.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. I went into some gross places. All right. Well, we have some other news to talk about for the wingdings. I'm going to keep using wingdings now that we've used ding dong, but 20 times too many on this episode. All right, yeah, the 2022 NHL Draft Lottery is going to take place on May 10th. Be held remotely for some reason that's important for you, the fan. And of course, the draft will be on July 7th and 8th. So, Mike, right now, I think we're sitting at 9. We have a 5% shot. Number 1 pick. How's that feel? I've never heard an that meant more, that had more story attached to it. Yeah.
So here, do something for me. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons on every Tuesday we play, and just get 100-sided dice, and just roll it like 10 times. Roll it 1,000 times, and see how many times you get 1 through 5. There's 95 other numbers on that dice, man. Not too good.
Math.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
It looked like it took you that long time. All right. So we're looking at the standings. Yeah. We're looking at the standings right now. I do this every time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was right. 9. We said it's 70 points, 77 games.
You know what? Let's submit a make the NHL website better comment, because can we also have the reverse standings? Like, I'm tired of counting. Yeah.
This is ridiculous. We should put Arizona at the top. I think if you flip it, actually, it does still say Arizona's 32. So we're in the same pickle when we try to filter it and reorder it. But I guess this is kind of good news. So now we have a date. We are it's April 20th now. We've got 1, 2, almost 3 weeks, Mike. We'll be there. 3 weeks away from our fate being sealed. I mean, it at least gives us more content, right? We'll know which draft picks to start talking about. Do we need to spend... Actually, you know what? I'm going to be kind of sad if we get pick number 1 for this podcast. Because then we have to spend 2 months talking about Shane Wright. Because I'm not playing that game that you see right now for the Detroit Lions of like, well, what if we traded back 8 times and then drafted a bunch of quarterbacks? I'm not doing that. We're not going to Woodward Sports Network this podcast. We're not going to do that bullshit. Yeah, if we end up getting the first pick, we are only discussing Shane Wright on this podcast till the draft happens. And I know a lot of you are thinking right now he's going, oh, he's a bust, or he's definitely fallen back. Yeah, but he's also definitely going to be drafted number 1 in this draft, and I can't. We're not gonna waffle on it. I think we've talked about it for a while. So for the sake of this podcast, all of you pray that we don't get the first pick, so we have something interesting to talk about. Because if you get pick 9, 10, or 11, I mean, you could at least have fun and talk about Shane Wright for a week, right? But then you've got all of these other situations you can build. I was looking at a podcast from a year ago. We were shown a projection that Jesper Wallstedt went number 1. So you can play with that draft pick and have as much fun as you want. But if you get the number 1 seed, you pretty much only have one guy to talk about. So everybody cross your fingers that we don't get the number 1 pick, and that this podcast, we have about 20 different prospects to talk about for 2 months instead of just the one.
Yeah, it'd be really exciting to get to hear me butcher the last name of, the 10th best guy in the draft. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
So yeah, I guess there really, I put this as like a show topic, but I guess there really isn't too much to go over. And Dan confirms for us not only 9, 10, and 11, but first and second are our choices that are up for grabs. Derek says, I'll be okay with boring content if we get Shane Wright. Ketzel, how do we feel about Connor Geeky? Ketzel, that's coming. We're not giving away content later. You've got to, we don't.
You're gonna have to listen to yet another episode, Ketzel.
We're gonna have nothing to talk about for 2 months but the draft. So we get no, I mean Connor's right there, right? I mean that's one of those solutions where it's not gonna figure it out right away for us, but we're gonna get somebody that we hope will fit into that top 6. I guess really you're looking at the second line at that point. Are you thinking he's gonna be better than Dylan? I don't know if I've seen enough to say that, but
yeah. What are you doing?
Oh, right.
Why milk the cow when you can eat the cheese for free?
Damn it, Ketzel, stop asking questions. You did it. Crimson Shadow says, why bother talk about anything? Because like D-Mac says, trust the Iser plan. So
just your beard. Matt, you were pronouncing it wrong. Crimson wrote it beautifully, but you gotta just use your beard. Crimson, that was my favorite comment, and you also have a really nice thumbnail. That's really cool.
All right. What else is there to talk about? I think that's it. I think we can wrap up.
Yeah, we're pushing the hour mark, and a little bit of a lighter, news week, and I stretched out way too many threads about PP. So
yeah, there was probably 4 too many questions about Sabatka, but you know what? That's what we do here. We find a conversation topic about PP and we pull it out. We stretch it as far as we can. Anyway. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you have a second, hit that like button at the on the page there. Subscribe if you are new to the show and you had a little bit of fun talking about El Sabatka's PP. And if you have a second, hit us up on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, rate, review. Rate us on Spotify. Does us the most good. And then, of course, we have BODpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com, and you can hit our the shop button on the homepage and pick up some Red Wings Rant gear. But yeah, it was good talking to all you guys. I had some fun today, and everyone, don't pull your ding dong out at work. It's one easy rule to live by, and you'll keep your job for as long as you're good at it. All right, Mike, let's sail off in the sunset. Everybody have a good one.
Bye.